Hello, kiddies. It's Tuesday again, so that means it's terrible triple feature time. Super duper Tumblr blogger slash legit movie writer from Mexico, Johnny Dynamo, suggested that we do comedies this week. So this week we're going to be looking at the sci-fi comedies of Rick Moranis. Now, there's probably a full generation of people out there who have grown up without a new Rick Moranis movie having come out. Rick Moranis, for those of you who are not initiated into the wonders of Canadian sketch comedy, was a fairly popular 80s and then early 90s Canadian comedian. He started as a DJ, but then he joined up with the Second City television show and is, well, like everybody on that show, he's a riot. And he continued to build up a list of really good comedies in the 80s. And the guy is just funny. Credit where credit's due. The man could essentially play anything, from, you know, a scientist to an idiot to just a geek to an FBI agent. And my little heaven, you never doubt that he's in the FBI, and he's like 5'0", but he's kicking Daniel Stern's ass. He's pulling out a gun, and it's Rick Moranis. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is a really, really good movie. It was the feature film debut of Joe Johnston, who would later go on to direct The Rocketeer and more recently Captain America: The First Avenger. The film stars Rick Moranis as Wayne Zelinsky, a scientist trying to develop a laser shrink ray. The thing kicks to life, and of course shrinks his two children along with the neighbor's two children. And, you know, because we need an adventure, Wayne accidentally sweeps up his kids into a garbage bag and throws them in the trash at the other end of the backyard, and thus the film is the kids' adventure trying to get, you know, 20 feet across a backyard in 2 days. It's one of the better examples of what makes a fun Disney film a fun Disney film. It's high concept, involves children, a lot of life lessons learned, a lot of crazy adventures, visually stunning, and a lot of heart. I mean, it can get schmaltzy, but I'm impressed with any movie that can make an ant endearing. And I'm not talking about, you know, like A Bug's Life or Ants. I'm talking about dealing with a human-sized ant and making it a cute character. I hate bugs, but, you know, I felt bad when Auntie died. If you didn't, you are a monster. Of the triple feature, this is him at his most watered down. He does a lot of great stuff with reactions to things and his goofy magnifying helmet, and he gets into a lot of really great contraptions. But compared to other films like, say, Club Paradise, which is not on this list, there's really not a lot for him to do other than just to be a lovable nerd. But we do love him because he is a very lovable nerd. Spaceballs, if you've lived under a rock, is Mel Brooks' parody of science fiction and space in general, and Star Wars in particular. Rick Moranis stars as Dark Lord Helmet, who is a send-up of Star Wars Darth Vader. And credit where credit's due, Mel Brooks did come up with just visually the design, and then in casting, probably as close to a polar opposite of James Earl Jones or even David Prowse, for that matter, in Rick Moranis. Rick, much like a lot of the people on the show, ad-libbed a lot of their dialogue. The scene where Dark Helmet is playing with his dolls, there was no dialogue written for him. Mel Brooks came up with the scene on the day of Dark Helmet with toys, with these two dolls. Or no, not two, it was a bunch of dolls. And he's just let Rick go for it, and he does. He really just brought nothing but a great sense of goofiness and overimportance to Dark Helmet, to Dark Helmet, Lord Helmet. I forget exactly what they call him. It's ridiculous. I love that he has two different voices. He has the voice when like the face mask is down and when the face mask flops up. He's wearing a tie. If you notice the intricate designs, it's just a tie because he's just a bureaucrat in a goofy outfit with you know, a Schwartz ring, and he goes around shrinking people's penis, which is his wont because he is a Dark Lord of the Helmet. Which finally brings us to Louis Tully, Dana Barrett's annoying neighbor in Ghostbusters. I am a big fan of Ghostbusters. Oddly enough, I don't have a Louis Tully figure, having done this triple feature and researched more Rick Moranis. I kind of feel I need to rectify that. In the sequence in the apartment when he's having his party, watch that. It's a tracking shot that goes, pretty much follows him through the entire apartment, talking to everyone the entire time. All of that is Rick Moranis. They told him, you know, if you wanted to, just go for it. And he does. And the whole thing is, if not off the top of his head, was all prepared by him before. And it's astounding. I can never stop hearing, whenever somebody says Nova Scotia, I can never not instinctively hear, "Real smoked salmon from Nova Scotia, Canada." And it was a little more Kermit than Lewis. If you watch the commentary track, a lot of they discuss how a lot of the actors had trouble with some of the denser Dan Aykroyd speeches. You can tell a good Dan Aykroyd speech by just the ridiculous amount of expository information combined with words no one would say in their normal everyday life. The one of my absolute favorites is Vince Clortho's description of what happened the last few times Gozer showed up on Earth. And I have never been able to perfectly memorize it. It is one of the greatest speeches ever. It's the one that ends with, "Many subs and Zools knew what it was like to be devoured in the belly of the Slord that day, I can tell you." It's fun to note that Louis Tully was not originally written for Rick Moranis. It was John Candy, actually, was who they were looking at. And John Candy wanted to make Louis German and have all these dogs and just make it a bit weirder than they were going for. More of the circumstances and the ghost to be the weirdness, and then all of the characters just to be, eccentric, but essentially from planet Earth. So while they, told Candy that they weren't going to go, that it wasn't going to work out with them, he suggested Rick Moranis, his buddy from SCTV, which, turned out perfect for all of us. Another fun fact to keep in mind is Rick Moranis keeps all of the clothes from every movie he's in. So all of the lovely, lovely outfits from the Ghostbusters films are in one of his closets somewhere right now, like the tracksuits and everything, or maybe some of the stuff from Club Paradise. Rick hasn't really made a live-action movie since 1996 or 97. I think it was Big Bully. His wife had died of cancer about 5 or 6 years prior to that, and so he was raising his children by himself. And in addition to becoming a more prominent actor and, as I mentioned earlier, having less fun with the roles, short breaks in between films became longer breaks, he didn't really miss being in movies anymore. Which is a real shame for us, because, watch any of the movies I just listed, watch Little Shop of Horrors, watch Club Paradise. The guy is a scream. He is just really, really funny. And I miss him. And hopefully everybody, if you have, those of you who didn't grow up with him like I did, you'll go and seek him out. Or at the very least seek these movies out, because he makes them greater, but they're great in and of themselves. That's it for this week. I will see you next Tuesday.